Well, I'm excited to share with you a special family friendly Halloween edition of the Traveling Hypnotist Podcast. And if we haven't met, my name's Nicole Hernandez, and I am known as a traveling hypnotist. I'm a board certified hypnotist and one of the wellness experts at the spa at the Four Seasons Hotel, New York, downtown. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing what's called a hypnotic story or a teaching tale. And this is one of the techniques used by the great Milton Erickson in helping his clients to find their own inner changes. So we understand that metaphor is the language of the subconscious mind. So when we allow ourselves to move through these processes, our mind begins to connect the story between Patty the pumpkin in this case and the things that you're going through. Now, what I love about hypnotic stories is that you actually don't have to close your eyes or be in a relaxed state. In fact, you can find that you can go for a walk, or you can drink your pumpkin latte, or you can just have an afternoon of cleaning the home or doing whatever you need to do, as long as you're paying attention and listening to the story. I want to share a little bit about Patty's own story. So Patty is a pumpkin, and she is desperate to find her Halloween home because it is her legacy to do so. She's also finding some challenges as she's moving through this time at Wanda's pumpkin patch. Now, I have to say, even though the story is very light and family friendly, know that it was also written to completely parallel a woman's experience as she's in her late 20s or 30s and feeling that desperate energy to find love and to get married and to have children and to carry on her own legacy. So you'll find those parallels are there too for you. But this can also relate to so many other things in our lives, the way that we feel desperate to have perhaps a specific job or desperate to have something else in our life. And the way that we begin to kind of chip away at ourselves because it's not happening as quickly as we would like. So I know that there's going to be something within this story for everyone that listens. Now, just as a quick reminder, I'm going to be at the Four Seasons Hotel, Orlando, Walt Disney this week from November 2nd through the 5th. So if you are looking to have a one-on-one session there, I will be available for the TTH sessions, which is where modern hypnosis meets mindfulness. And I will also be hosting the Time Traveler sessions, which is a soulfully upgraded past life regression. After you listen today, I would love it if you would share with me in the comments some of your own takeaways or the things that came through for you as a result of listening to this story. All right, so let's get to this. Our story begins at Wanda's pumpkin patch in Ridgewood, New Jersey, where there, off the road, is a wooden sign that advertises, "Come and get your Halloween's best. We've got giant pumpkins, tiny munchkins, and gourds in unusual shapes. We've got face painting and colorful mums and even a petting zoo." And there in Wanda's pumpkin patch lived Patty, a pumpkin from the best of New Jersey's vines. She'd grown so gracefully throughout the spring and summer, not too tall and not too round, and she had the perfect pumpkin orange hue. Patty knew herself to be a pumpkin of worth. After all, Patty was not just any pumpkin. She came from a long legacy of Halloween pumpkins, the kind that families proudly showcase in their windows and doorsteps. And Patty dreamed of Halloween, a time so grand. She envisioned the perfect family with 2 little children walking into the pumpkin patch and just catching a glimpse of her from afar. And Patty would imagine herself glowing in the fall sunlight. And there she would find an instant love connection. And one of the children would say, "Mom, we must take this one home." Of course, the perfect family would drive a shiny new SUV, and they'd take her to their home with the perfectly manicured lawn, decorated with friendly skeletons and burgundy mums. And yet she hadn't decided if she would be painted or carved with jagged teeth. It was a decision that she would later meet, but on Halloween Day, on October 31st, there she'd be on the family's porch. and she would sit atop a gold bale of hay, the perfect beacon of Halloween joy on a cool fall day. And she'd be giddy with delight to find that the love and praise of all the trick-or-treaters across the land. But to Patty's dismay, the first opening weekend in October at Wanda's pumpkin patch had come and gone, and Patty had not been picked at all. And she worried that she just wasn't in a good spot. The perfect family couldn't see that she was not too tall and not too round, and that she had the perfect pumpkin orange hue. So Patty asked her friend Jenny the goat from the petting zoo to come by that night. And Patty said, "Won't you be a dear and use your head to roll me up to the front of the pumpkin patch, across from the gourds and the mums? And that way, the perfect family can see me, fall in love with me, and take me home." So Jenny the goat, being the good friend that she was, gently rolled Patty to the front. And Jenny the goat was extra careful not to accidentally poke Patty with her horns. It was another beautiful October weekend at Wanda's pumpkin patch, and Patty was sure this weekend she'd be picked. She had the perfect placement. Her strategy would be a hit. But the hours ticked by, and Patty's optimism began to wear. She noticed all the other pumpkins that had been picked that day. She saw the tall ones, and the short pumpkins seemed to be popular this year. And those little white miniature pumpkins were being purchased in baskets of 10 and 20. Oh dear. She noticed that even the ugliest, bumpiest gourds were even being snatched up by those perfect families and taken home in those shiny SUVs. And Patty thought, how could this be? At the end of the weekend, Patty was filled with fright. Maybe her look wasn't just right. She tried to stretch herself even taller, but it didn't seem to help. And she wondered if perhaps her skin was just too orange. She lamented, "Oh, if only I've stayed out of the sun, I would have been loved and chosen and had a Halloween home by now." And just then, Gary the goose waddled by, as geese do, and he noticed Patty looking pensive. "Patty, what's the matter? Don't fret, or else you'll get another ridge on your rind," he joked. Patty sighed. "It just seems that no one wants a pumpkin like me anymore. I'm not tall enough. I'm not curvy enough. I'm too orange. I'm not even lumpy enough. Everyone else is getting picked except me, and I'll never find the love of a family. I'll never have a Halloween home. I'll disappoint my whole pumpkin family by not carrying the legacy on." And Gary the goose smiled to himself. "Oh, Patty, don't be silly. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. People see pumpkins and choose them not because they are better than you, but because they see a connection, an aspect of themselves reflected back to them. Some people see the gourds with all their bumps, and it reminds them of their own lumps and their own bumps in their life. And in a way, it's like choosing themselves. You get it, Patty?" Patty nodded, as pumpkins do. And she said, "Thanks, Gary. Yes, I guess I see what you mean now." And the days continued to roll by, and it was a few days before Halloween now. And Wanda's pumpkin patch would be officially closing soon. And everyone expected a big turnout just before Halloween Day. But something happened in that last weekend, which no one could have foreseen. It started to rain and rain and rain all through the night. And there were puddles everywhere when the sun rose in the morning, and not a car in sight. And one of the farmers was in such a rush to lay out hay to cover the mud that he accidentally stepped in a deep puddle right next to where Patty stood. And suddenly, Patty felt the splash of mud on her perfectly pumpkin orange-hued rind. "Oh no, I'm ruined," she cried inside. Then suddenly, a car pulled up, and she heard the squeal of little children, and a set of sticky warm hands picked her right up. Oh my goodness, could it be that Patty had finally found her family? "Look, Mom," the little boy cried with pride. "I found our Halloween pumpkin." But the mom screamed, "Put down that pumpkin instantly. It's filthy and full of mud on one side. Can't you see?" So the little boy obeyed and put Patty back down on the wooden pallet, and Patty's little heart was crushed as if someone had just hit her with a mallet. That night, she tried to sleep, but she had nightmares about the mother's screams. The rejection was tearing her apart from the inside, and she looked out to the moon, and she cried, "Why me? Why must I end up alone and dirty?" And just across the way, the wise scarecrow Stan said with a gentle tone, There, Patty. You're not alone. But you don't understand, Stan. You're a scarecrow and you will last year after year. But I only have one chance to be loved and find a Halloween family, I fear. It seems my fate is to be discarded and to rot away. And at some point, I'll just be a droopy and goopy mess. I've missed my chance. I haven't lived up to my best. And Stan, the scarecrow's voice carried this time throughout the pumpkin patch like someone wise and old. Patty, all your terms and conditions to live up to this legacy are a tricky game. Finding a Halloween home, not always the same. You see, the season of the harvest offers a lesson, my dear. Maybe it's time to take a deeper look. You said you wanted love and a family. You said you wanted to be a Halloween pumpkin. And you have it all. All of that is right here. But here's a little message to take away. Anytime you think all hope is lost, just remember to think to yourself, it's this or something better, and just watch what comes your way. And it was that night, beneath the blue moon, that Patty thought and thought about what Stan the Scarecrow had proposed. Maybe she had already found her Halloween home. She thought of all her friends that had cheered her on and had metaphorically held her hand. She was loved after all, and it seemed she did have a family here. And then it was finally Halloween, and this day, Patty had a different kind of energy. Instead of sulking, she stood proudly in the patch, up front and center. She would be the best Halloween pumpkin after all, even with her muddy exterior. And she thought to herself, it's this or something better. But a funny thing happened. Patty was suddenly plucked up by a man that smelled of patchouli and had a patchy mustache. His name was Eddie, and he took one look at Patty's muddy side and smiled to himself. He had to have her. Eddie drove Patty home, not in an SUV, but in a little black and white Mini. And once Patty was home at Eddie's apartment in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, he took out a big black Sharpie. Patty giggled as he traced the shape of the mud on Patty's side. And wouldn't you know it? The shape was that of a lopsided, jagged little heart. And then he wrote something just above it in big letters. That night, yes, Halloween night, Eddie handed Patty to his girlfriend Mary just before midnight. And across Patty's perfectly pumpkin orange-hued rind, above that heart, the letters so cleverly read, "Let's be weird together forever." In the moonlight, as the couple kissed, Eddie made Mary his Halloween bride-to-be, And wouldn't you know it, Patty had not only become a Halloween pumpkin, but her legacy would live on as a Halloween love story. And Patty thought to herself how grateful she was for this magical midnight moment when all the connections came together, like the perfect spider web woven together. Everything she wanted, deep and true, came together not as she knew, not the exact vision, but so clever. This, she realized, this was so much better. I'm wishing you a happy Halloween, and if you enjoyed today's story, then I will just ask you to please share it with a friend or with someone that you love and spread the Halloween spirit.